2 and 1. Looks like we are live. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Wolf. Good to see all of you here. Going to do a little bit of some TA analysis, talk markets. We just got out of the market talk space with the crew, but now me and Bits are coming together here and going to pull some charts on the visual side for you guys and look at some of the dominance, look at some of the altcoins as well. And yeah, see what we got. Bitcoin touched the 90s. I know a lot of people were excited about that. We'll see what happens. You guys are looking at Gravity here as well. Just big shout out to them for always being a great sponsor and partner here at Wolf. Great decentralized trading hub where you get to stay in control. This is the trend. This is what you're looking at, by the way. This is the platform. You can keep self-custody and trade futures, do whatever you want. It's a very nice TradFi centralized exchange feel, but also with the freedom of DeFi. You just connect to wallets and you're signing up and trading. You can trade all sorts of assets. You can do spot, you can do futures, all sorts of great stuff here. I'm going to pin a link down below the stream if you guys want to check it out, but a great platform here. Yeah, Bits, I mean, what are we thinking here? We got dominance at a certain level here. Let me pull up yours here, actually.
Yeah,
we Bitcoin breaking in.
Screen here.
Interesting stuff. A lot of the altcoins were kind of waiting to have a bit of slowdown, some sideways action, but not necessarily a dump. Bitcoin. Yeah. Now we did see that dump, a casual 40% or something from all-time highs, but it's interesting. I mean, like someone had said, I think it was Nat in the space earlier, but like narrative really does follow the trend of the price.
100%.
And so basically every single week you have to almost reset a little bit while keeping in context the higher time frames,
Yes. Yeah, I was just having a discussion with someone who's been like jumping into some of the streams that I'm doing and even the live trading sessions that we're doing on Telegram. And like one of the questions they had recently, and it was a very legit honest question. It's like, well, a couple of days ago you said that you were looking at this, and then today you're saying that something opposite to that. Like how does that work? And so I had to kind of explain that we kind of form like a high time frame or a mid time frame bias of like, I think BTC, or in that example it was like ETH. I think ETH can maybe move up here towards 3,800. And in the short term though, like when you're zooming into day trade, you're going to have some opportunities here where I was like, yeah, I think we're going to have a short that's going to play out, and they're like, well, why are you shorting it if you said it was going higher? And it's like, yeah, look, that's the nuance in trading that makes it difficult, I think, for some people if they don't listen to the whole thesis or the whole discussion and they just catch a piece of it, is you miss a lot of the details. And it was like, yeah, look, it is coming down. There is a short here, but this could be a nice technical level if we don't lose this, right? Like we want to see some support here. You want to see some strength show up. Otherwise, it's like, look, we've got this level to the downside. You've got this low. So you kind of talk through like both scenarios, right? And I think you find that as like a common trait of people that have been trading for a long time, is they're pretty good at telling you both scenarios. They're like, yeah, this is why I think I'm bullish, but if it were to break down, then I think this could happen and this would invalidate my trade. And therefore I'd have to pivot, right? Or I'd switch bias. So it's interesting, man, but that's kind of where we're at. And I think even like looking at BTC, it's looking good off of these lows, man. A lot of people were able to pick up here, like sub 82K BTC, and even here on this little pullback, I was able to jump in and participate here on this pullback here to like 80, 83 and a half or so. And, dude, it's just been moving. And hold on, let me turn on this do not disturb thing because it's driving me nuts. And it's been moving up, but it's also been very much just ranging between about like 85 and a half and about 89. Like this has been that range where it hasn't really moved. And today we're finally getting a breakout of that range, hopefully. So it just takes time, man. And, I think like being impatient really chops you up. It really just messes with your head. And if you can't zoom out, and I think that's what we'll maybe talk about a little bit today, is we'll zoom out on some of these charts. Like we'll talk what the higher time frame levels are for BTC. Yep. We'll talk some of these dominance charts and what they might be hinting, like Bitcoin dominance versus ETH dominance. We can also look at ETH over BTC to see if that's signaling anything. And then even this others chart, I think will be interesting to jump into, because this is that altcoin season, indicator that everyone is, dying for, basically. Everyone's so desperate for this. So we can look at some of that stuff, man. But yeah, I mean, BTC making some moves on a Wednesday, on a holiday week as well. So let's see what happens here,
Yeah, for
man.
real.
So let me get a
100%.
little
And by the
more
way, for everyone
zoomed
back at
out
home, if you're
here.
watching while he's doing that, please do repost the stream. Bottom, or I always say bottom right corner. I feel like we're in a space every time. But yeah, if you haven't already, please do quote tweet, retweet the stream. Be sure to follow Bits. No. Be sure to follow Bitsofwealth. He's tagged right above the stream as well if you guys are watching. And I did get that link for Gravity. It's right below the stream if you guys want to check it out. But yeah, be sure you retweet. That way more and more people can find the stream. And some people aren't aware that Bits does the streams because he's always on Spaces. But he does also do streams on his own account as well as on Wolf every now and then. So yeah, be sure to give him a follow. But
yeah, trying to grow like the stream presence a little bit more away from the Spaces.
Yes,
I'm already like, I like Spaces because I'd rather talk to an idea than like write out a big thread. Like some guys do some amazing threads, but dude, I don't think I have the patience for that. Like, I'm just like, no. Like even when I have to write like a long text message, I'm like, I'm just gonna send a voice message or I'm gonna call. Like it is way faster than sitting there typing it out. So
yeah,
I kind of see
100%.
Spaces as like the same thing. But and then with video, you get the ability to point and move a cursor and say like, look, this is what I'm talking about. Here's that line I drew, that squiggle.
I want to get Landy on so he can show us some of those miners. Like, dude, the mining stuff is so fascinating.
The mining stuff is fascinaing, and how it all ties into some of these levels is
exactly
like, dude. And this goes back to even the conversation we were having with Gary and Darkside and some of those guys. And I think there's a lot of value to be gained from mixing everything together to form one much more educated picture of what's happening versus just like, oh, I'm only looking at TA, but I'm not considering any of the mining stuff or the macro, or I'm only looking at macro, but I'm not going to consider the mining data or the TA. Like you're leaving out quite a bit, I think. But
100%.
So yeah, look, let's keep it simple for BTC. If we go to the daily chart, very much still a very clean and clear downtrend. Like there's really nothing about this that we can say is invalidating a move down yet. There's some levels we can start getting near here soon as we zoom in, but for the most part, this is just downtrending, and we have a nice overhead zone of resistance here that we're just now like really pushing into finally. So this level was a big support zone back here from November through February, right? So big support area, had lots of wicks into that zone, held as support beautifully. And then when that was lost here, it turned into a big resistance, right? So you had multiple attempts to push up, and it was struggling until there was enough strength and enough of a foundation built down here that we were able to get this impulsive break through that, right? So you can see here very clear. The way you can tell that these are impulsive as well is that they move like this. Like they're not very choppy. It's like a couple candles up, right? In a big vertical fashion. And the bad part about this though is that they do leave gaps. They leave these inefficiencies in the market on the way up that price tends to come down and fill eventually, right? So much like people that follow like Bitcoin futures talk about the CME gaps, right? And that's just basically where, price is trading like this on a Friday. And then on, next week when the market opens, price is up here and it's trending up. And then you have this massive gap between the time the market closed and the time the market opened. At some point, the market comes back and it fills that, right? It fills it, and then it either continues up or it reverses down. That's pretty much what happens with these gaps that happen here when you get these impulsive moves. But because crypto doesn't have down days, it's open 24/7, right? You don't get like a void in the chart. Instead, what you get is these big vertical moves, these big high volume impulses that usually are cutting through the zones. Like it's no coincidence if you're looking at those that most of those, if not all of them actually, are happening right here, like at big support resistance zones, right? Like this is a big support resistance zone. You get a big impulsive move through that. Like it doesn't chop slowly through this zone to get out of it, right? It impulsed up. So you had a big impulsive move to be able to get out of that resistance. Same thing here. Like this was the next resistance, right? Because you're getting a lot of rejections over here on the left. So what did you get? You had a big impulse to get you above that. You didn't slowly chop up through it, right? You had to quickly push through that. Same thing on this side, right? You had some resistances here. Like this was a big zone that was choppy as well. Price, did some consolidating, and then you got a big impulsive break that had to move you up to that next level. So, yeah, they just create some imbalances in the market, inefficiencies. People, if you're like an ICT trader, like people call these the fair value gaps in the market, right? Where there's just a period of time here where the market moved really quickly in one direction or another. But those are key levels to watch, and a lot of times they are very aligned with structure, with price action structure. It's aligned with like a volume indicator, like the VRVP here, that you can see that some of the biggest gaps in the volume profile tend to be where these vertical moves tend to happen. Like there's confluence there. Another big one there. You've got a vertical zone and a gap. So big zones, but that's just to kind of give a frame of reference as to why I say that this is a big zone that we're moving into. So this is a zone that if BTC is not quite ready to go higher, we could be getting something similar to what we got up here, Cade. At the 105, 106 level. Yeah, that was a that was a major level. A lot of support here. Big consolidation that was happening, pushing up against that prior to the breakout. And then you had these two big previous tops here, this like little double top action that happened back here into that zone. So this is a very big level. So what ended up happening is when we lost this, you can see that price consolidated a little bit below it, at this next zone. And then it found strength. It found strength to push up. But unfortunately, that zone was just not ready to be reclaimed again, man. Price was not ready to go higher. Buyers didn't have enough follow through, and the market just still had continuation to the downside left. So there is still a risk here, man. And I think this is why a lot of the technical guys on the space are saying that if we don't reclaim this like on a closing basis, on a daily or a weekly, if we're just coming up here and wicking into it and getting rejected, we could have something like this that might still be playing out. You could be doing something like this only to be met with another move, either back to the lows or back to the next zone below. Or you could also just have a higher low, and then that subsequent move is the one that actually takes you through that. So these are all just things to consider, man. And it's, I don't know what the future holds, so I don't really have like a definitive answer. So I have to kind of weigh everything and just say, these are all potential outcomes, and here's how we're looking to play all of those. So, but yeah, it's good to see it pushing up. In the process of pushing up right now, I was watching like the total charts, and this is the total crypto market cap, and very clear ascending trend here in terms of support, right? Like you kept getting bounces on the way up here, right? Very, very clean until this was lost recently. We're now kind of doing like a retest of that, man. So there is a risk here, right? Like there's a risk that this touch, this pullback to that trend support or that prior trend support, it could be a rejection from here. Like it's right at that line, man. Like let's zoom in a little bit more. I mean, look at that. That is right there. It's coming back up to touch that. You also had this previous.
That's the one I was looking at. Yeah, right there.
So you had that previous low, all right there. So you have confluence, the bottom of this zone over here to the left as well. Like you can drag all that out. That's all right there, man. If we don't, if the bulls don't really show up in a big way, this could be that next big drop, and then we're looking down here at this next level. This would kind of be that next level below that. So,
Waking Winds asks why we don't include wicks in the trend line. It's a good question.
It's more of a preference than anything. Some people do the wicks. I like to do the bodies because wicks tell a lot of the story, but the bodies tend to kind of give you like the finality. Even though price went lower, it ended up closing here, right? So you got to always, the most important thing is always the close, not the wick. Wicks are the erratic behavior that comes before a decision is made. And sometimes you'll see these wicks that protrude a little bit and they stick out, but ultimately you end up closing. I mean, if you did a wick on all of this, I don't know that the trend line would be very, very much different, but I guess we could run one just for the sake of running one here. Let's see if we extend that to the right line. So like maybe that's what you're looking at. You're trapped between these wicks, but you didn't have a touch on this one, right? So if you're grabbing a wick here, and then close here, this one has more touches. This one has 3 touches on that trend line. This one only has 2 until this recent one would be the 3rd. But you're kind of trapped in here. So yeah, I think if you want to consider all outcomes, you can look at it. I feel like wicks give you the hopium, and the bodies tell you the facts. You know.
Well, also the wicks oftentimes are just like that break where it's like, okay, now we're ready to reverse. So it's like, they're almost like, not that they're irrelevant, but it's like there's almost no reason to include it because the body is the full story.
Yep.
You know.
Yeah, so the wick is the emotion, man. It's part of the story. Like up here at all these highs, you see big wicks. Why? Because although price went up higher than where it closed, ultimately there really wasn't price acceptance.
Or it's an institutional move, and they're looking to trigger those sells. or buys.
It can be, exactly. You're fishing for liquidity, man. So yeah, there's a lot of different things that make up why the wick is what it is, but I'm a big fan of looking for where the close is, especially like on a weekly chart. Like maybe if we were looking at, a 15-minute chart and we're trying to identify like a range. Yeah, like if I'm doing day trading or I'm on a 15-minute chart, I'm probably including the wicks because this is like telling me the actual live range in the moment. But on a weekly chart, it's like, man, I want to know where the closes are. Where did price actually settle? Where did the market decide was the actual value on that day at that time? So, but there is that trend line. We're watching it. We're coming back up there. At the same time, while that's happening, we're seeing BTC dominance, which has kind of been, it's been trying to head lower. But it is currently like trying to hang out here a little bit. We're getting a little bit of a pump. Nothing that's breaking any kind of structure. If you're looking at BTC dominance, this is still very clearly downtrending here, right? You're making lower lows, lower highs. You'd have to get probably above like here, about like 59 and change for me to say, oh, maybe that was a low on Bitcoin dominance and this thing is heading higher now. So, but apart from that, I mean, this is still, this can chop around a little bit and then ultimately still go lower. This is what the altcoin market needs, though. If we're gonna get a run, man, we need to see this thing continue to move lower and eventually just take this low out and start the cascade, down further. So we'll see if that ends up playing out, man. I think I'm seeing some signs like between seeing BTC even not necessarily making big moves to the upside, but just kind of hanging out, going sideways with a little bit of bullish momentum. It's not melting. It's not rolling over, which is what's important. And then you're seeing a Bitcoin dominance here, BTC dominance generally continue to trend lower. I've also noticed that ETH dominance was getting a little bit of love. We had like some pumps on ETH dominance off of the lows. Man, I can see the potential. Like ETH has some work to do. I can't really see an alt season without Bitcoin moving generally higher. It doesn't have to be impulsive, but it generally needs to be moving up and to the right, not dumping. And then we need ETH to be moving higher. And if that happens, I think we'll see Ethereum dominance climb while Bitcoin dominance probably continues lower. And then that'll give us this fabled alt season that everyone's waiting on. So, but this thing's just beat up, man. It's been super beat up. Like it's got some work to do before it's going to give us any kind of alt season like it has in the past. So, lot of work to do. But seeing these little pumps off the lows like that looks good. A little bit of volume coming in on some of these, so that's healthy. It just needs to continue. If you know, if ETH dominance starts making a move like about above here, I think that could be worth paying attention to. Like if this thing starts doing something like that, like this might be worth paying attention to. A flip of this structure here, and especially above that will be noteworthy. So we'll be watching that, seeing what it does there. You know, if we try and get some confluence from the others chart, others is also doing something interesting as well. Let's zoom out a little bit. So overall, others is still very, very beat up.
And what does others include?
So this is basically your altcoins excluding your top 10, right? So it excludes like, you know, your XRP, your Litecoin, your like whatever those top, I don't even know what the top 10 are, BNB, just what we call the majors, right? Like ETH, obviously, Sol, whatever's up in that top 10. So you're excluding those, and it's telling you what the rest of that alt market is doing. So it's like these are your mid caps, small caps, micros.
So this has got the trust token in it, doesn't it?
I think it only looks at the top 125, if I'm
Is
not
Trump
mistaken.
not 100? Is that not top 125?
I don't think so right now.
Hold on, I think it is. Wait,
There's no way. There's no way.
I mean,
current
it's been
market
a
cap.
long time since I checked, but I feel like I saw something like
it may have been at one point.
No, hold on. I think it is. Let me double check.
I'm way.
Probably wrong. I'm probably wrong. But there was something a couple weeks ago that I remember seeing, and I was like, wait, why does this have all this volume? It's number 55.
No.
Yeah.
Currently number 55?
$1.25 billion market cap.
Jeez. All right.
I told you,
bro.
Number 55,
I guess it is in there.
baby.
So this is all the way through the top 125, right? So that means all the way through, what's 125? ZK Sync. Okay, so
wow.
You got ZK Sync, Gala, Theta, Jazz.
Oh my God, Gala. Wow.
Yeah, there's a bunch of these, man. Decred, Pendle, Pith. Okay, you know, Ether 5, Floki. It is crazy, man. I got to go back to this top 100 list because I haven't looked at it in such a long time. It probably looks totally different than what I remember it being, right? Like I remember Tron, I remember XRP, BNB, like, you know, I remember those. Cardano's always been like a top 10 for a long time. Doge, right? But yeah, that thing is just it's changed so much over the years.
It has.
But this is what this chart is, right? This chart is all of that. It's like everything outside of the top 10. So it's everything outside of, so it's not including ETH, it's not including XRP, BNB, Sol, Tron, Doge, Cardano. Everything after that is included though. So Chainlink, Zcash, Monero, Litecoin, you know, Avalanche, all of that stuff will play into this. So yeah, even this though, man, it's like it's still very much in a downtrend. It is coming up here to some levels where it had, you know, chopped and caught a bounce before. But I noticed that it did this like interesting move here, man, where you know, granted it still has room to the downside. Like if this were to fall off of this pump, like there is some, you know, there's some air down here that it could come and fill. But even in this like local structure, you had something very similar to like how ETH has been looking and some of these alts right now, where they're kind of basing out. And then you had a very clear range high, range low, and you did get an impulsive break up, and it's sitting right here back at that range high roughly. So I'm kind of wondering if it's not going to try and make a move higher to fill some of this, you know, to the upside before it even thinks about coming lower, if it's going to come lower at all. But we'll have to just watch this one. We'll look at ETH BTC as well here in a moment, so I'll cue that up because that'll depend on what that's doing, on how we think this chart here is going to behave. Man, I think you whatever voice virus you got, man, it's like it's coming after me now, I think.
Oh no, dude.
I'm feeling it.
It goes around through the spaces somehow. I'm telling you, there's some
it's passed from like host to co-host, and then from co-host to speaker.
Don't tell the sponsors. Don't tell the sponsors they're gonna get sick.
Yeah, they might be safe though. They might be safe.
No, that's good.
So I don't know, man. Like there's some clues, there's some things that are moving. I like what ETH dominance is potentially doing as long as BTC dominance continues lower. Stable coins, we saw, dude, this was a massive move on stablecoin dominance. It was just parabolic. Went up, took out all the
Wow.
prior levels we were
Wow.
watching, but it is coming down now, and that's what we need. Like if we're gonna get some upside on these coins, we need this to keep coming down here to this next zone. So you've got some room from here to here, about 10%, a little bit over 10% to the downside, that at least to this zone. And if it keeps melting, like it's got room to the downside if it wants to come lower. But there's I'd say there's a decent chance at this point that this green zone could kind of slow price or slow this down from just melting, right? Golly, I'm getting all jumbled up over here. Trying to not cough with this throat virus, this spaces virus here.
Do you at least feel okay? Like I'm healthy.
No, I feel
It's just my
fine,
voice
dude.
is
I think
gone.
I'm just talking a lot. Yeah, I think I've
Yeah,
just been
yeah,
talking
that's
a
probably
lot the
true.
last few days.
True.
But yeah, I don't know, man. It's seasonal allergy type stuff that unfortunately I've been fighting my whole life with seasonal allergies. But so yeah, like I'm seeing the signs. Like we need stablecoin dominance to be heading down. We need Bitcoin dominance to be heading down. We need ETH dominance to be going up. We need BTC to be healthy, not necessarily ripping, just healthy. It needs to look okay. I think we're fine in what that's doing. And then if we look at, let's zoom out a little bit more. So if we look at ETH over BTC, we are still below the yearly open. I'd like to see that reclaimed. It does have room to the downside. Unfortunately, like you still could see a move to the downside, but man, I'd like to see that yearly open reclaimed. And this is looking okay. Like the structure is not bad. Like I like this kind of structure here. At some point, it's usually conducive to like a big pop and a move higher. It's filled, this part of the move here. So like this gap that you had here, that's pretty much done. You still have some room to the downside, but it doesn't have to come lower. It's there. It could come lower some other time, but so let's see, man. I think if we get a yearly close above the yearly open on ETH BTC, I'm just kind of starting to stack like little things that I'm saying, okay, check. Like these are all the conditions or all the criteria that could potentially give us a little bit of upside on the alts. And I think we're starting to see it, man. Like you're looking at some of these coins that are popping off, and I don't know that there's really any rhyme or reason why some of them are moving the way they are, but we're getting a lot of movers recently. So,
Yeah, and I remember that we had done, I think it was last stream we did, but you had zoomed in on, I believe it was just the Ethereum chart. I'm trying to think. I don't think it was Ethereum dominance, but you were like, if we just
the plain
isolate this
ETH.
one, yeah, then we flip it. You inverted the chart. And you were
Oh
like,
God, yes.
I remember that. That was probably one of the most interesting segments of all time.
Yeah.
Because it was so hard to fight that thesis that you had presented, and I remember being like, wow.
And it's still there, man. I'm
Yeah.
looking at it now, and it's still sticking out. Like I can just see it. My brain is inverting it automatically, and I see it. But it doesn't mean that even if that is the outcome, that ETH can't come up here, give us one last hurrah, and then it can do what it's probably inevitably going to do. But in this process, we could probably get some nice upside in the market. Yeah, if we get ETH from current price 3K up to 37, 38, I think it'll be nice, man. That'll be a nice little bump in the ETH market cap and total crypto market cap.
Yeah. Do you by the way, if we end up seeing like a full-fledged bear market, would you so like we saw basically this cycle for the most part? I mean, it depends how low you got actually. Like you actually could have done well even though we didn't have the craziest altcoin performance. But are you going to be interested in picking up spot bags for alts, or are you going to choose like certain ones? Are you looking at Bitcoin? Like I know Litecoin's obviously on your radar a little bit, but I mean, I guess it might change too. Like I'm not exactly sure because I've never, I guess last bear market even, it'll be my first time being aware during the bottom of a bear market. If we end up seeing that, if we see these lows, we're like, okay, it's time to enter. But it's like, okay, now what is the narratives? Like, because I know now what the bull market narratives are at the top if this ends up being the top. And so if we have a low, I'm like, what do those narratives look like,
Yeah.
Which ones can you believe versus like, following price action first?
Man, I have a hard time thinking that it's a bad idea to pick up some of like the OG coins that have just been around. Like Cardano's a good example of one that gets a lot of hate. And we can pull that one up, but it's stuck around, hasn't gone anywhere, and it's one of those that if you bought it at market lows, like even if you were buying back here, this was a 2021 high. If you were buying down here, you still had an opportunity to make some money, even though it has come down significantly. Like you had an opportunity here to make some money, so but now, the danger is, like this was support, right? This shows you how long it's been since I've looked at the Cardano chart. This was the support zone. We're now below that, man. So it's like, man, I got to come in here and I got to flip this to resistance now, because this is what we're dealing with. Is like Cardano's going to have to get back above this if it's going to try and continue higher, and it's a big level here. There was a lot of support that was happening here, and there's a good chance now that even if it tries to get up there, it could be facing a rejection. So, but even then, man, I mean, like if you picked it up at the lows of the bear market, I mean, you had a nice, almost 500%, move. There's plenty of opportunity to take some profits on that. So,
yeah.
Yeah, look, I think we're just seeing like diminishing returns to both sides in terms of upside gain and also probably the drops. But there's opportunity, man. There's opportunity. You just got to be able to, like you said, like how do you decide what the ones with potential are, the ones that you want to be buying versus the ones that maybe aren't a great purchase. And there's always going to be a runner like a Solana, something like that. That's like, but those I think is like a very heavy tech narrative versus like some of this stuff is just, they're like legacy narratives. Like it's legacy coins. They're part of like the origination story of the entire space. I don't know that they're going away anytime soon. Litecoin's another great example of that one. Like you don't have to love Litecoin, but it's been around, man. Some of my first Litecoin purchase, unfortunately, was this chart doesn't even have it, but it was up here like November, December of 2017 at like, dude, I bought at like $350 back then. And it's like, man, it's still now it's like well below that. Right. But, but then I also remember buying it dirt cheap at like 20, $30. And it was like, dude, how am I getting Litecoin for 20, $30 when I was paying, $350? It was wild. Right.
Yeah. Wow.
So yeah, I think Litecoin's the same thing, man. It's like this is one of those that's just going to be around. I don't know that it is going to make a massive move in the short term. It was looking at one point like it was going to make an attempt, and it just it didn't do it right. It rolled over. But currently, this is one of those that it is. If you want to, look at it this way, like over time, it is still slowly increasing in value. Like if you bought here at the lows, you are still up on your LTC. Maybe not as much as you want, but it is still going up over time. There's some charts that look much worse than this,
Yeah, 1,000%.
So yeah, so I just think we're in a different environment, man. And there's always going to be something like a Solana that's just going to go on this like crazy growth path, right? Where it's just going to absolutely fly. We'll see what that next one's going to be. Crypto has a history of kind of being like a one and done type of game, like I really don't see something that was like the narrative from last cycle repeat into the next one or into a future one. NFTs were kind of one and done, right? Meme coins kind of like one and done, like even the Shibs and the Pepes, like none of those really went back up to levels that everyone thought they were going to go back to. So it's brutal. And I think that just shines a light on the fact that it is still very much more correlated with like growth tech stocks and just like high risk, high reward type of tech stocks, right? Where it's like AI maybe is a good comparison. It's like innovation, high growth, but high risk. And unfortunately, like a lot of this stuff, you could be the cutting edge tech one cycle, and then by next cycle, there's 10 others that have the same or better tech than you do. So therefore, it's hard to replicate that again, right? That's the risk. That's what kind of puts Bitcoin in like its own thing, right? Where it's like it's not really trying to compete as like a technology. It's just like Bitcoin is Bitcoin, and it's like the what Bitcoin has done from the beginning is the same thing it continues to do today, and nothing's really changed. And it doesn't do anything different at 126,000 than what it did at 15,000. Like, it does the same thing, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't really need, like a VC group or a foundation to like be developing it. It is the same thing. Bitcoin's always going to be Bitcoin, and the price isn't really going to change any of that foundational side of it,
Yeah, and even, I mean, for me, Bitcoin doesn't even have to solve every single problem or take over the
Yeah.
world. It
Yeah.
just needs to be like a decent, like, or not even a decent. It just needs to. It doesn't need to do it. It just is what it is. Like, the asset is
Yeah.
what it is already, and so it's like, will more people give a rip about that in a few years? Like, I think
Right.
more people will. I mean, it doesn't seem like they're going to be turning off the money printer, so all risk assets should do well. But
Yeah.
I mean, most of these assets are kind of like, I don't know. I'm not sure what to think. I mean, the valuations of these companies don't make sense. The reason they go up doesn't make sense. The reason they go down doesn't make sense. And there's like, okay, so what are you supposed to be able to derive? Like, what is the value here? And it's hard with some of the companies.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it, man. Is because this is not a company, and it doesn't have shareholders that it needs to be, making happy, keeping happy. Like, it's just kind of free to be what it is, and people either see it and accept it for what it is, or you don't, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
But yeah, man. I mean,
question here as well from
oh, what is
Chad.
it? Yeah.
Says, Bits, are there any alts out there you believe could become legitimate utility as blockchain becomes more adopted? He's looking for XRP. He's looking for you to say.
He's looking for XRP.
Like, puts in quotes XRP.
That's so funny. No, look, I think a lot of blockchain tech could be very, like, is promising and could be very useful. I like the stuff that's doing a lot of like cross chain aggregation and trying to be like these hyper chains of sorts, where they it's like you can bridge from any network, you can swap from any network. So stuff that's solving those kind of problems, where it's like bridging the gap between networks and facilitating how they communicate with each other. I think that stuff is going to be important in the future. I obviously I'm very bullish on what we would call like wealth preservation coins, right? Things that have attributes similar to BTC, right? So whether it's like limited supply, like as a total fixed supply, a hard cap on how many coins there are, or it's deflationary in some way or another, that over time, instead of it being inflationary like Solana is highly inflationary. You could have something like Ethereum that's deflationary, right? The more people use it, the more deflationary it becomes. You also have things to consider that are like, are they centralized versus decentralized? BNB, for example, is one that actually meets quite a few of the criteria for wealth preservation. But one of the risks with BNB is that, a lot of people still question, like, is it still highly centralized? Like, who really controls the network? But it's undeniable that BNB's been absolutely just outperforming, most of the market. It's been an amazing growth opportunity, and it is one of those that shares a lot of those value preserving characteristics and attributes. So the real risk here is the centralization. Like, who controls it? Who could potentially do something that's not in the interest of the holders or the network, if that even exists as a risk, right? But that's like one of the big things against BNB. But yeah, I'm big on value preservation stuff. Like, this, and it even just goes back to the fact, people come into crypto, you want to get away from stable coins and fiat. You want to come into crypto and get into things that protect your dollar, that's not going to erode the purchasing power of your dollar. But then they go look at something like a Solana, for example, which, although it has upside when it's performing, is highly inflationary. It's just highly inflationary. A lot of tokens are coming into circulation. Sui's another one, right? A lot of token unlocks, unfortunately, and you can see it on the chart just in the way growth eventually just rolls over. They're just highly inflationary, and over time, like that may not matter in 10 years, 15 years. It may not matter because, eventually most of the tokens will come into circulation at some point. There's kind of like a pivot, that'll happen where it'll reach a certain threshold in amount of tokens that are circulated that it's not quite a big deal anymore. But early on it's rough. And I think unless you're a massive believer in a project, like you have to be a massive believer in Sui, for example, and be willing to hold through all of this for the next, like maybe 2 cycles for it to really pay off. But in the short term, just recognize that there's big VC unlocks, there's early seed rounds that are going to unlock, and all of that stuff a lot of times will dump on the market, right? As people look to get their cash equivalent.
That's why Trump token has just been impossible to long. Like
that's another one. Yeah,
it's just always going to have unlocks and pressure downward.
World Liberty Fi, right? Isn't that another one? Like it's same.
I'm not sure how that one's looking actually.
Well, I think it also had a lot of investors, right?
Oh yeah. Oh, for sure.
Yeah, so this is probably going to feel pressure for a long time, and and then if we're going into an environment where maybe we've got more downside on BTC than we originally thought, like the pressure is only going to increase. People are going to take every opportunity to probably sell those tokens that they're getting unlocked, right? They're going to be like, I probably need to sell a little bit and hedge, get my initial investment out, take some profit.
No, I see Chad in here said he said he's not an XRP army member, but he says something like Filecoin, for example, could be a competitor to AWS, which is down, by the way, apparently.
Yep.
I don't know if this is true. I think AWS X runs on AWS, right?
Yeah, most of the world runs on AWS.
But it's like sometimes it works. Like, let me see if people are live on. And by the way, just a quick aside, if you guys are watching on X, definitely be sure to repost the stream and follow Bits. Bits is right above our faces. Just click his handle and you can give him a follow there for sure if you like this kind of stuff. But hopefully you're able to see this on X. I'm not even sure if X is working for people. I don't see that many spaces going. Oh no, I do see some spaces going. It should be okay.
It's been kind of glitchy, man. But yeah, I mean, Chad brings up a good point, which is I do think that there's going to be like the tech stack of the future that tries to decentralize a lot of this stuff, right? But
maybe they even just like, it's tough for me, like with the coins. Like I was always a big fan of Near, but it's one of those things where I'm like, it's so dependent. Like I don't know how much, because like we talk about, the price dictates everything. Right. So if Near's token is down bad, but then they're like, oh, X company buys out Near. You're like, okay, so does that mean it's bullish for the token? Does that just mean, well, like they're integrating their tech? Like, what does that even mean?
Yep.
And so something like Filecoin could be a similar thing where they're like, they buy some of the software or they adopt it or whatever it is, but that may not necessarily mean that the token's going to pump, because it's like, so I don't know what people are going to do with most of these tokens, because the fact that so many of the foundations are just offloading and selling, over the counter, it's like, so what are they low key, like just slowly rug pulling it into the ground, even though maybe there's an opportunity with the tech? It's like, that's always been the big fear, even with NFTs is the same thing. Like maybe there's tech here that's good, but are these projects going to survive? It's like, that's kind of a different question.
Yeah. And that even goes back to the question of, are you solving a need in the marketplace, or are you creating a problem? Like, are you just creating the illusion of a problem and you bringing a solution to a problem that doesn't really exist, right? Like, we kind of saw this with like the NFT narrative, and even with crypto, but where everyone was like, we're going to tokenize everything. Everything's going to be an NFT. Everything's going to be a token. My water bottle is going to be tokenized. So, every single time that I fill it up and get a drink, it's on the blockchain and we can prove it. And it's like, some of that stuff it's like, is it worth it? Is it like, does someone need to track how many times I'm filling up my water bottle on the blockchain? Like, is that a real problem? Right. And it's, look, and I'm being sarcastic. This is a very extreme example of like just the sarcasm around that. But we saw some stuff like that. It's like, I'm going to tokenize this. Like, why? Like, that's not even a problem, man. There's perfectly good Web 2 solutions that I don't really need to like go on the blockchain and verify like if something really happened, right? Like every time I left my house, every time, like why, right? Every concert I attended, do I really need to know every concert I ever went to? Like, I don't know,
Yeah.
So there's some funny stuff like that, man. And This is where there's a saying by like Murad, the meme coin guy, right? The believe in something
Believe
guy.
in something.
Yeah, so he said something and that I actually do agree with. But he said that some of the best projects don't need a token, and some of the best tokens don't need a project. And I actually think that there's some truth to that. I think if it wasn't for the fact that a lot of people are using this stuff as a way to raise money, right? Because that's really why they're launching tokens. They're like, man, I need to raise some capital to develop this thing. And it's like, well, if we launch a token, we can raise capital. And then later on, we may or may not do something with the token. Like the token won't even really matter later on. So in essence, they really don't need a token. They just needed the capital, right? They needed capital, and the token was just a capital acquisition vehicle is really all it was, right? It was a way to, go out and procure an investment, basically. So I think we're going to see a lot of protocols. Base is kind of an example of it, right? Like Base is a whole ecosystem, but there's not a Base token, right? It's like there's ETH is the gas token. It's built on ETH. Do you really need could they have launched a Base token? Yes. Will they launch a Base token? They still might. Like that could still be a thing. Is it necessary though? No. They're proving that entire ecosystem is functioning just fine without needing a Base token, right? So I think that we're going to see a lot of that. I think we're going to see a lot of tech that's like the rails are already built. The L1s that you would need to develop whatever you want to develop, or the L2s even, are already there. Therefore, just go build what you're going to build and don't launch a token. You don't need to launch a token unless you're trying to raise money. And I think that's going to be like the one use case we're going to continue to see, where people are going to launch tokens for the sake of raising capital and purely for that. Like, I really don't think there's going to be much utility to a lot of these platforms and things that are going to launch, because it's already out there. It's like everything you could possibly need is already out there.
Dude, this one's so tough. This one's so tough. By the way, I don't know if you saw, this is a little bit unrelated. I just something had popped up. This is definitely not breaking news. This is from last week, I think, but I didn't realize this. But Peter Thiel, I thought I'd seen something about his position in what was it? Maybe it was Tesla, but it looks like Peter Thiel dumped his entire Nvidia stake, and then 75% of his Tesla shares. So he
does he know?
Oh, it's his fund. It's his fund. More than 500,000 shares of Nvidia, around 100 million. And then reduced his Tesla stake from 272,000 shares to 65,000. But he kept Apple and Microsoft. So it might just be he's moving into something else that might have higher ROI.
Yeah,
but that's like kind of interesting, actually.
Microsoft's a weird one. Why?
Yeah, I know, dude. It's some cabal behavior, I think.
Yeah,
I can maybe get Apple, so risky.
Yeah,
the fundamentals are rough because
there's always doing things. There's always some story to something, right?
Yeah.
Like there's always some mystery to solve in crypto and in markets, right? And that's what people, and I think that's why people like the fundamentals. Actually, they kind of like, how I give the example of how charts to me is like, it scratches like that same itch as like solving puzzles, and like you have like you're trying to piece together the story. I also think the fundamental side of it kind of does as well, because these guys turn into like full detectives of like, dude, I found out that this company is buying this company and they're going to use the tech, and because of that, this guy's related the CEO of this thing. Like, look at the XRP army. That's literally like the XRP story, right? It's like, ooh, XRP's ISO because they're tied in with this company, and that company, their current CEO used to be part of the World Economic Forum, and the World Economic Forum people used to invest in this other thing, and then now that person is an advisor to XRP. Therefore, XRP, the World Economic Forum, is gonna, use XRP to take over the world. And it's like, man, like, dude, like, like you like mysteries. I get it. You like the crime shows, you like you like going out there and doing the Blues Clues thing, I get it. But it's like, man, some people, they laugh at the line drawers and the squigglies, but dude, you're doing the same thing, except instead of drawing lines on a chart where there's actual data, you're just going out there and like, you're getting all reporter on me,
I know.
It's just wild.
Yeah. Well, it's like
Texas is buying this, and this bill's getting passed right now, and this, the legislatures are doing this and that, and it's like, oh my god, like maybe.
Yeah, it's obvious. It's all like in line with like, it's like, yeah, like agreed. but it doesn't like, yeah, I don't know. It's a little tough. I see.
Yeah,
Ryan said, by the way, he said X is up, but reports of AWS issues just across the board. And then I see chat saying every alt is trying to be a viable business, but difficult to see how the business model can actually bring value to the token.
yeah.
So yeah, it feels like everything's
That's the
pump and dump.
challenge.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
that's the
is.
challenge. Yeah, people are building businesses, um, but the businesses can't produce revenue, and
Yeah,
so therefore it's not really a business. Yeah, it's a pump and dump.
this is true. This is true.
No, this is where things like, okay, like you want to talk about something that actually has revenues, like maybe something like Aster, maybe stuff like Hype.
Mm.
Maybe these have potential because there are fees that are being collected. There's revenue that's being generated. Like I understand that, right? So, but it doesn't mean that the price can't still be suppressed for a while, that it can't head lower in the short term, right? A
Mm.
lot of people were saying that up here, man. After the big pump, because CZ was jumping on spaces and Astra was taking over the world and all that stuff. And then, look, I mean, everyone was saying like it was never coming under a $1.50, and then it was $1, and it's like, dude, it came all the way into like 80 cents, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, these markets are brutal. They humble everyone, and they teach us all that, like, number one, patience is a big part of it, but number two is like just setting realistic expectations and not
Yeah.
getting caught up in all the Kool-Aid drinking is usually
Yeah.
it's a good thing.
I'm trying to like almost prepare for, not that you must think about this in cycles. It definitely depends on your time preference here as an
Yeah.
analyst or as a trader or as an investor. But in my head, like I'm actively trying to learn what I need to know, but also like in the other hand, sort of not unlearn it, but I guess I'm trying to gather like the knowledge that I need to know. It's not so much like what is the play tomorrow, but it's more
Right.
like how do I move better in 2 months when we see the
Yeah.
similar things, similar story, different person, different story, different company. But it's like, okay, we've seen this before. Like I want to be in the I've seen this before crowd. And so I'm like, how do you do that? You pay attention, you probably obsess a little bit
Yes.
more than you need to for a period of time. And then the next time around, we're like, hey, we're back. Like for example, if Bitcoin goes back and starts to range in the 50Ks again, we'll be
Yep.
like, wait a minute, we've been here before. Like what do we remember last time? Like what were some of those things? Like who was entering the game? And so you get to not be a noob. Like the goal is to get out of noob territory as fast as possible, in my
Yeah.
opinion. And so
Yeah,
that's
that's a
the
great way
goal.
to
I mean,
put it.
there is huge opportunity in this. I still think it's probably the best place you could be. I mean, maybe second to like AI or something.
Yeah.
But I mean, dude, I mean, yeah, the opportunities here are pretty big.
Yeah. They're massive, dude. They're massive. Speaking of Bitcoin, right, and speaking of like 50K and some of those levels, there's two charts that we should probably go over before we before we think of wrapping. But
Let's do it. Let's do it.
you and I have talked about Bitcoin over gold quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
So this is that Bitcoin over gold chart. I was playing around with this, like if there was a trend here at the lows, and maybe there is. Maybe there's still further room to the downside for an absolute bottom
Yeah.
to come in for this, right? But even now, this thing was just melting, and it broke
God,
structure here, took
bro.
out that.
Wow.
It's already two key lows that it took out. But you are seeing a little bit of a bounce, and I think that this has kind of got me paying attention here, because after you break two big levels like that, at some point there needs to be like a reversion to the mean, right? Like you have to
Mm-hmm.
come back and bring balance to the force again, right? And it would make sense, like you took out all the longs from here, you took out all the long interest from here, you've kind of reset the board in a way, right? Like you've reset that hype that was in this. Maybe like this could be a good opportunity to see a little bit of upside here. And so I've been paying attention, and man, it's starting to look like we might be gearing up to start making a move against gold, at least on the lower time frames. You can see here, like we're getting really close to a market structure shift here.
Mm-hmm.
It just needs to push up a little bit, and then we'll have a little bit of a break there, and then we'll look at some of these levels up here next. But it's got work to do. Like no doubt, it's got a lot of work to do to put this back in a bullish place. But in the short term, could see some upside. And when I look at that, and then I'm also looking at like gold, for example, right? Gold topped back here kind of like mid-October, and it's just kind of been chopping sideways. And there's still a lot of people that are saying, hey, this is just going to continue higher. And that certainly could be the case. There's also the other camp which says, yeah, this probably needs to pull back quite a bit, like somewhere down here before that next big leg up, right? So I could certainly see that as well. Based on this, man, based on the potential for BTC to catch some kind of a bounce here, even if it's short-lived, right? Like even if this just comes up to like this prior level here, even if this just comes up, man, that tells me that gold still could be pulling back a little bit. And we know that gold kind of signals risk on and risk off environments, right? When this thing is pumping, usually equities aren't doing too well. This is outperforming everything. So it's kind of like a risk off hedge where everyone's kind of moving towards a little bit safer plays. And then when this is pulling back, people are going back to full degen. So I think there's some hope, man. Like if this starts pumping and it reclaims some of these lows, if it can reclaim here and start making a move up, even if that move up is ultimately going to reject, like let's look at that scenario. But if this ultimately just still maintains the current trajectory, if this were to be a bottom around there, you could still be seeing a move, that has plenty of room to go off of these lows. Like you could still make a move all the way up here somewhere, which would be almost a 50% move for BTC against gold, right? While gold is maybe cooling off and pulling back some. Like could gold come down and come down 20%, something like that? Maybe, right? Or it could continue to just kind of chop sideways while BTC gains back a little bit. But during this period with BTC going back and making a move against gold like this, man, I think that could potentially signal that that period that we need for some of these alts to really get a little bit of upside, and BTC included. Even if it doesn't go out necessarily put in a new all-time high, could it do that? Sure. But even if it didn't, that little catch-up period against gold could allow it to come back up to maybe some of these levels, maybe that 107, up here. Like it has time. Yeah, it would have an opportunity to get up there, So, and I'm kind of seeing the same thing even with Bitcoin against equities. So this is BTC over SPX and NDX combined, and it's coming down to a key level, right? So it's like we're kind of getting a bounce here. It's already moved down significantly off the highs. This entire impulsive move up has been pretty much filled at this point, right? So it's like it's rebalanced here. This could at some point make that next move up, even against equities, right? So we still have a reason to maybe be hopeful, but we need to wait for BTC to give us that signal, because it is still a little bit early. But I'm starting to see the makings. I'm starting to see like some clues in the chart, man. That's why I've kind of been a little bit optimistic lately, where I'm like, yeah, I'm seeing the potential to move higher.
Dang, man. Yeah, I don't know what people do all day if they're not speculating on the price of Bitcoin. Like, what are y'all doing? I mean, honestly, what are you doing with your life? I mean, what else is there to do? You got Bitcoin versus gold. You got Bitcoin versus life is not fun unless you're. I mean, the fundamentals are great, but like at some point, I think the technicals are really interesting. It's crazy because like it's like what's the right word for this? It's like it's so hard to argue against it when you pull, especially a high time frame, and you're like, man, look at these zones. Because like it's funny it's easy to make fun of it if you're like, oh, you guys are just in the 5 minute, that's just coincidence.
Yes.
And then you zoom out, you're like, well, it's kind of like a fractal. It's always true.
Yeah.
Like it could break through, but like for the most part, this is the range it's established, and there's a reason it's a range. There's a shit ton of money on the bottom, a ton of money on top. You're like, this is it. This is why. And I'm not sure what the argument is against it. I feel like I've seen way less. I don't know about you, but I've seen way less attacks on the line. I mean, it's not even funny anymore to say line charts, because like it's not even like a thing anymore. You know what I mean? Like I'm not seeing really anything about it.
Nah, they're still out there.
The price is up, dude.
Yeah,
not from the main.
Well, they're quiet. They would sound silly to be saying that now. They're eating all their words they said at 126K. So, but they'll get loud again, Cade. That'll be the signal. That's how we're gonna know, man. The question is, and like this is the question, is how high does BTC need to go for those comments to start again, for the line drawing deniers to get loud again, right? And that's always like the one of the things, like in terms of sentiment, that you kind of want to look for is how loud are the bulls, how loud are the bears.
Yeah.
You know, like
Wow.
just, you can't really trade off of it on its own, but just, you know, definitely note it, track it, pay attention to it, because you'll notice this right now. There's not that many loud maxis and bulls. There just isn't. They're very quiet right now. Start paying attention to at what point in a move up does that start to change? Is it on a reclaim of, you know, 93.5 this yearly open? Is it on a reclaim of 100K, like a nice psychological number? Is it on a reclaim of, you know, 110? Like where does that shift happen that you suddenly start seeing the dunks happening of the called it's, bears were wrong, blah, blah, blah. And usually that will precede a top. Like it, and it can happen, right? Like the bulls were really loud in all of this, and it still gave room to go. But look, we're already below where they were really loud, right? So,
Dang. Yeah. Now, by the way, I saw. Where'd it go? Let me see if I can pull this back up. It was
Ryan says they have been going on all day. Just from today's pump, Ryan, there's no way. I did see one "we're so back" comment already on Lady Trader's post that was interesting. But don't tell me, Ryan, that they are going on all day today already, just from the little bit of pumpage we've been seeing.
By the way, the other thing I saw
oh god,
was Donald Trump. I don't know if this is real. I'm trying to find out if it's real, but apparently Donald Trump tweeted out "buy Bitcoin," and I got to see if this is on his platform or what. But that, I will say, I mean, they haven't been right every time, but let me see. I don't have a Truth Social account. Am I able to look on the timeline without like getting an account? Let's see.
Man, if anything though, if it is true, like when I see stuff like that from these guys, that just means they bought down here and they want retail to buy so they can sell it somewhere up here at one of these levels. Why else would they be telling us, right?
But I will say Trump did a couple times this past cycle. It's been a while, I feel like, since it's been like just like a winning for everybody season.
No.
But I remember it was like that legendary like buy, and we rallied hard. But I feel like now that things have changed a little bit. You know, not sure. Like Eric Trump's tweeting, and he has not been right like 4 times in a row now. Now he's walking it back. He tweeted at someone and said, "I never said that." And I was like, "You said,
oh, is he
crazy Q4?" And now he's like, "No, we're not going to see." It was something like ETH to 5,000 or something in the next 30 days, which is around, you know, the end of Q4. And he was like, "I never said that." I was like, "So what are you saying? ETH is at 3,000." Like you said, we're going to have a crazy Q4. I'm like, that would be a good start. Now he's like, "That's not exactly what I said." I was like, "Oh boy,
man." Yeah, like look, and this goes back to what we were talking about the other day, which is like famous people, very wealthy people, just these like high rollers. These it reminds me of that joke by oh god, his name is escaping me right now, but where he talks about the, you know, they're part of the club and we're not in it, right? Like those people, the people that are part of the club that we're not in. It's very easy for them to come in here and think that because they're in the club, because they know everyone, they have the connections, they have the money, they can go to the meetings and do the business deals, that they somehow understand how all of this stuff like moves and what it all means. And you know, the market has a way of humbling all of that out of people as well, right? So
yeah,
100%.
Any last things we should take a look at? Let's see, Ryan, appreciate you coming through in here, Ryan. And by the way,
appreciate
everyone who's been
Ryan.
Everyone awesome. Who's supporting, everyone jumps into the streams and the comments and tunes into literally anything, you know, whether you're watching the streamer or not. I really do appreciate it, and as well as appreciate all the support through the questions, comments, reposts, follows, all the things. We really do appreciate it. He said it's not his.
It's not in his Truth Social account.
Oh, okay, so that's just like not true. Okay. Well, what is even the point of that? Like, Why are people tweeting it?
It gets clicks. It gets
It's
clicks,
like not
man.
even. It's completely not
They're
real.
trying to force a pump. They're like, man, if we can get this circulating enough, maybe enough people will buy and think it's true, and we can get a pump. You know?
Yeah,
I don't know. The whole thing is so funny. It's like just
brutal.
wait for the lines on the chart, man. These lines will tell you when it's
Come on,
time.
Ali Farhat. I know you're a meme coin account, but I thought that was real. Come on.
So we'll see. But yeah, dude, look, I mean, oh my gosh, before we jump, like, look, okay, so I didn't draw this today. This high time frame, low volume node has been on my chart for months, if not all year already. And when we got below it, notice over here, bounced, right? It was like bouncing on that level. We're right at it again. Like we're rejecting right there again. So let's see what happens, man. Very key time for BTC. I definitely see way too many people trying to short down here, though, when the time to short was significantly higher. So I think it was Crypto Crank who said it earlier today. It's like, man, it would not surprise me that they set it up to look like it's going to roll over here, and then they just decimate everyone at some point. And then after that, there's the move down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
100%.
Gotta wait, man. Gotta wait. This is one of those where it's like, wait for them to make that move, that false move in whatever direction, and then let's just play it for what it is after.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all I got, man. Just learn to zoom out, understand that high time frame chart, understand these high time frame levels. Go on here on these charts and just mark out like these big monthly swings. Like this was a big monthly swing. Here's a big monthly swing. Do the highs as well. And just put a line on them and just watch them. These are the levels that are going to matter. Those are the levels that you want to be paying attention to. It's the levels that even the non-line drawing maxis, even they're watching those levels, man. They might be deniers, but I don't think they're as dumb as they pretend to be on social media, So
yeah, totally. Right on. Well, let me see if there's any last questions, comments here. We've had a couple shillers in the comments, but it's all good. Bits, do you have a chart that shows long and short liquidity levels?
No, not on my trading view, but you can go to places like what is it? Market Monkey, Terminal,
Market Monkey, that's the one.
Coin Glass. Like there's a bunch of those. High Block that will show you all that spot CVD versus OI versus all of that. So yeah, those are much better. There's not like a great indicator on TradingView that shows that in the same way that you could get it on some of those. Probably even on into the Cryptoverse. I know he's got a bunch of charts in there if you pay for that
that's right
as well. So there's a bunch of these platforms, man. They're all aggregating the same data. It just depends on which one you like. Yeah.
100%. Right on, dude. Well, appreciate
George Carlin. That's who it was. Thank you, Jaime.
Oh, there we go. Beautiful.
George Carlin. Yes,
thanks,
sir.
Jamie. Appreciate you,
It's Jaime.
Jaime.
Yeah, he corrected me. He said it's not Jamie, it's Jaime.
Oh, hell. He's coming over from your streams?
Yeah. He hangs out on the streams and stuff.
All right, dude. Let's go. Yeah, appreciate you tuning in. And by the way, guys, if you enjoy the stream, if you go down below, if you're watching on YouTube, at least, I know some people are watching on YouTube, definitely go into the description because I tagged Bitsofwealth's X, where you'll get a lot more frequent updates, but also his YouTube. So if you guys want to check that out, be sure to subscribe to him on YouTube, and also subscribe here on Wolf. Trying to grow the YouTube. I will say, that X is definitely our main platform, but we will be doing some more out there on the YouTube land as well. So be sure to subscribe there. And if you're on X, be sure to give Bits a follow. Right above our faces, you can see he's tagged. So you can follow him there, and you can follow here at Wolf as well. We're going to do a space here in like 3 minutes, more of an investing space with some of the crew. Looking forward to that one. And yeah, man, if you enjoyed it, please repost. If you guys want to check out Gravity, great trading platform. Custody, you get to keep custody for yourself, which is pretty much like the biggest thing for me for a lot of these trading platforms after seeing October 10th. That was rough. That was very brutal to see people just get totally wrecked there. But yeah, you can trade futures, you can trade spot. It's a great platform, and it has a very centralized exchange feel, TradFi feel, but also you get that freedom from the DeFi side of things. So if you're done letting platforms make the rules, I pinned a link down below the stream on X. Just click that link and it'll take you to Gravity. You can check it out there. Big shout out to them for, as always, sponsoring a lot of our Market Talk discussions. And yeah, man, if we don't see you for the space tonight or in a few minutes, then I guess we'll see you guys for, hopefully we do the space on Sunday, 6 p.m. Eastern over with Ostium If not, I'm sure we'll try and spin up like a random, you know, space if we have time, and if it well, I mean, we might see some crazy movement. I have no idea what to expect going into the holidays. I mean, is there like a thing that usually happens on holidays, the bits, or like is it kind of just like random?
Yeah, I don't know that I've paid enough attention because I usually check out during holidays myself. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, you know, you have to just assume it's a low liquidity environment, easy for false moves in either direction.
Yeah,
And then when everyone's back, you know, is usually when you get the correction from whatever that false move was. So,
far,
yeah.
far. And Monty J, sorry, dude, had to ban you. You keep shilling some random meme coin ticker pre-sale thing. I don't know. And I don't even mind. I thought about pulling it up on the stream and like flaming him, but then I was like, nah,
Yeah.
they're just gonna screenshot it and then say we were
Yeah.
shilling them. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Exactly.
I gotta stop falling for these things. I'm too easily swayed. The next thing you know, Ryan's gonna be shilling a Ryan Ladd token. I'm gonna get caught for it.
Yeah, there you go.
No, I will say if there was a Bits of Wealth token, that would be pretty fire. That's a pretty good token name right there, I will say. So if you do see that one day,
That's funny.
you know,
No, don't buy it because I'm not making it. So someone's gonna scam you out of
that's
that.
funny. That's funny.
Happy
Oh, look at that.
Thanksgiving. Yeah, man. Appreciate
Oh,
that.
I see. I've come across. Honestly, we don't really speak with many people in Puerto Rico. We kind of don't have a life. Sort of just sit in our rooms and do spaces and calls and stuff all day. So it's a call to action to get out there more when we're in Puerto Rico. So, but I appreciate you coming through. Appreciate all the people in the audience as well as Bits for the stream. We'll see you guys all in the next one. Take care.